Here we are on Ramose and Ramose tomb and the noble tombs Sheikh Abdel Gourna, Wasit, Thebes, Luxor, Upper Egypt. He was the vizier during the time of Imhotep III and Imhotep IV, who declared himself as Akhenaten. After Akhenaten died, the image and the names of Akhenaten were erased from the walls of the tomb of the vizier, an able politician, and he's like having the key, representing half the key of the whole empire. This is a part of what we call it Amarna art, the art which appeared during the time of Akhenaten. When you look, faces start to look more real. The whole people looking different. And for the first time to see the king himself playing with his kids, acting real. And here the names inside the cartouches of Imhotep IV were erased after he died because he was considered to be an heretic king, changed the whole religion. This is an image of Akhenaten. You could see how he's been shipped off from the walls. He's kneeling, opening his both arms, and his wife Nefertiti behind him. And on the top of his head, you could see the new god, Atun. It looks like solar disk. It's got rays, and the rays end up by hand, giving life to people. One of the beautiful things we're going to see, the Amarna style. Ramose, the owner of this tomb, when you look at his face now, you start to look absolutely different from the other representation we're going to see him on the walls, because he was exist during two periods of time. The time when everyone was represented ideal, perfect, like the gods. And then this new art which once appeared in the kingdom, which called realistic. Look at his elongated face, Ramose. It's unfinished part, but look, he is looking almost like a lioness, his face. Very elongated head, bald. And then he's receiving the presents from the representative of different nations who was visiting Egypt on the exists, bringing the presents and the offering to the king of Egypt, Imhotep IV. Again, another touch of art, you can see it. All the women, they look in different faces. Look, all the faces looking different. This is and a part of a smile in the face, like this lady. She's having a smile in her face. This one too. Look at the dots. Look at the different hairstyle between all of this. Is Amarna. Also, this is the shape of the different troops and representative from different nations. The one who got the feather above his head, he's the chef and he's the director of this group. Look how different the features of the faces. Looks like Nubian, Asiatic, and people from Libya. It's very new style of art, appeared in the time of Akhenaten. So this part of the wall inside the tomb, we was lucky to be decorated with this realistic new style of art of Akhenaten. The follower of Akhenaten, they went with him to his new capital to avoid the conflict with the priests of Amun-Ra. So this tomb was collapsed and destroyed. The ceiling was destroyed in the 20th dynasty. It was many years, thousands of years, this tomb was totally collapsed. And the debris and the dust and the wood and the linen was filling the whole tomb all the way to the ground level on the top. And there were lots of work, and many people came to clean the debris and to unearth the tomb. The first work started here in 1879, and it was a lot of pain and lots of hard work because things were not taking fast, and by travel, everything was studied and to see where it goes and to be inspected. One of the famous names worked here, Gaston Maspero. But thanks to the one who restored the roof to make these glass windows on the ceiling there, to bring the lights to the tomb, to make the tomb looks like this, and the visitors will be able to see the reliefs much better. He was called William Beres in 1827 and 1828. Look, this is an offering scene, and it's written by the magical words. Believe there's everything going to retain to be alive. And he's sitting here with his wife receiving the offering. Amazing carving, especially for the headdress. How you're not only looking to a beautiful art, look at her eyes, look at the wig. So you're looking to spiritual figures. They're going to be alive one day when the words written by this magical writing. Here, one of the beautiful scenes, the purification scene. Look at the water around his washing Ramose with water. He's wearing a beautiful necklace above his neck. And when you see his hand, he's holding a stick. And then he got a key in his hand. Look how big the key. This is a sign of authority, a sign of he's the vizier, the prime minister of a great empire. He got the key of the whole empire. Some of the offering. One of the beautiful scenes, we're going to see it when we see the beginning, the entrance of the tomb. And here we've got some people are entering. There is something interesting here, especially when we see the name of Hathor. And then you will find the name of Amun was erased here. But we got the name of Isis, Atum, Osiris, and this is the name of Nib, Ra. This is Amenhotep III. So they've erased everything related to Amun. Amun, any of his manifestation, also his wife Mut, any of the representation of the word Mut will be represented. This is very artistic. I want to show you the gentleman here who's holding the head of the cow. Look at the tongue falling down. This is the fine art, we call it the time of Amenhotep III. And here this person who is lying down, he's slouting the head. But this is the animal sacrifice, and this is after the funeral procession finished and all the funeral rites were finished. The family and the people will share this meat, and they will eat from this meat. One of the famous scenes here is the banqueting scene. The banqueting scene, this is what they wanted to be on after this. What are you going to want after this? You want your family. You want your kids around you on a beautiful banqueting scene. In our civilizations these days, we do barbecue and we do have dinner parties when the weather is good. So they are the relative, husband and wife. They are the brothers of Ramose. We knew that about some of those were working in Memphis, like the mayor of Memphis, and some others working in Thebes. And here we've got Ramose and his wife with this beautiful table of offering with his brother, which is his name, exists here. Sis Moot, so Moot were erased from here. Sis Moot. And we'll find an image of a horse because he was the horse stable of the whole kingdom, especially those belong to the royal horses here. Look. And the title was having the name of Moot, which is the vulture. You can see it was erased from here. A vulture. Look at the shape of the horse. By the way, this kind of work, it's all carved outside. So how to smooth these old walls? We're cutting on the bedrock, and then the artist will come and draw everything, and then they needed to remove the wall behind to make the reliefs outside. The walls, like in a bas reliefs. Here we've got Ramose's brother, his daughter, her title written here, the heart of her father, the singer of Amun. Again, you will find a letter erased right above her head. This is the name of Mut, the wife of Amun-Ra. And here we have the mother and the other two daughters. This is a typical banqueting scene. And here, this is the most famous scene in the whole tomb. It's divided into two registers. On the very top, you will see the very strong red color. And here we will find the bald-headed priests are bringing the yellow shrine which contains this sarcophagus containing the mummy on a sledge to be moved from east to the west. Look, the first figure and the first group of people, they are doing the signs of the procession, the funeral procession. When you see people holding their arms like this is typical signs of funeral. When you see the people here, look at the first person, he's holding the lotus flower. And his hand, he got the birds. Those people are holding jars. Looks like the wine jars. A box above his head, and in his arm he got the leopard. And then you see someone who's holding the bed and the fan. And the Senate game has got something to do with the journey after life. It's a risky game, winning. So it's a funeral game. And here we got the people who's holding the boxes. The chair above his head, look at his other hand. He carried a white paper and the red and the black ink in the yellow wooden stick. This person here holding two things above each arm. Someone was holding the sandals. And here we got the relative of Ramose. We know them, they are the relative because they acting naturally. Look, they're not all the same kind of acts. But if you look, it gives a great idea about the society because women were not covering their breasts, they are the married one. They are married, they have kids, and it's a sign of fertility. They have breastfeeding. And we have other ladies, they covering their breasts, they are unmarried, they're not married yet. And the children, they were naked in ancient Egypt. They were like totally naked. So it gives a great idea about this social society and how they were looking like and how they were dressing. Lots of people were asking, what's this black thing on the sledge on the top? above the heads. It looks like a priest. He's on like a cover, and he's like in kneeling position. He's not a human sacrifice. He's that the prey who's in the kneeling, he's that the priest who's in kneeling position, saying the praying in front of the sarcophagus to keep the bad spirits away and during the journey. And he was supposed to be buried, and in a very hidden doorway he will be exit from the tomb. Look at this artistic shape. Did you notice all the mans, they have different skin color. So the people who are working on the fields and working on the sun, they are darker skin. And the people working in offices and shade, they have a lighter skin color. Those are the professional mourner. You can see they all acting the same way, and they were hired to cry and scream in front of the procession. Here we have the ritual of eating and drinking after the ritual finished, and breaking the pots and breaking the everything, the plates, and this is a typical offering scene. This is the well. I believe this is the burial chamber, because as we were saying, outside it's all memorial tomb. It's very long, and we found lots of remains of human bones, so it seems it was used later on as a public cemetery. The interesting thing, the last thing I wanted to show you here in Ramose, the grid. The grid is to divide the walls in a big squares, and inside these squares, the artists, they started to draw. So look at this. This is the squares here. You can see it. It's very obvious. The squares, the grid, and then they draw inside the squares. So all the people will be, all human, I mean, it was limited by the number of the squares. So there is no chance for mistakes or to make someone taller or shorter. Animals will have a letter inside the squares. Also, if you see the writing, it was inside the squares. Look at this writing, it's carved out, and then the edges of all the writing needed to be sharp, it needed to be smooth. It's very sharp edges now. All this needed to be smooth to make it like a circle shape to give the last finishing. So it seems after they've carved out like this is needed to be smooth, like to look like the other banqueting scenes. Here we have the high priest. It's supposed to be his son. The name is not mentioned here. And he's doing the ritual of opening the mouth ritual, to open the mouth of his father, to inherit the statements, to be the follower of his father after he died, to be the vizier of Egypt. Here we have the image of Amenhotep IV before declaring himself like Akhenaten. He's in the idealistic shape, looking like all the Egyptian kings we saw them. Under his foot, we will see the figures of the 9 main enemies of Egypt. It's like names of nations. Their names written, and they were always represented under the throne, and they were the one who was making a big threat to Egypt border to invade Egypt. So their names always written, and they called them the 9 bows. Behind the king, we'll see the lady sitting on the throne. She is Maat with the 1 feather above her head. And in the end, you will find this remarkable stick end up by the frog with the long tail, a sign of willing the king Amenhotep IV ruling for many years. This is one of the will exist, and this is the burial. This is the style of burial. It's a very vertical will exist in the floor, and there where they bury the body. All this here, it was visited by the people, and especially on the feast of the beautiful valley. The beautiful valley feasts, the relatives, they were coming here every year. And even inside this room, there was supposed to be a statue inside for the owner. Thank you for this now. And I'm going to post this for you in the group. And hopefully we can go to Osarhat and record it for you there as well.